So Super Rugby Round 15 Saturday games. No real blowouts this week. All the matches were pretty tight, and not kind of all going the way we expected. In the first one, the Waratahs have gone down to the Chiefs 39-27 in Hamilton. When you look at the crowd at this game compared to the one in Buenos Aires the other day, it was pretty average, wasn't it? I mean, I guess that it wasn't as nice a day. It looked to have been raining, so yeah, but it was a bit. I mean, this is a decent matchup, the Chiefs against the Waratahs, but it seemed pretty poorly attended. But yeah, Waratahs had a pretty quick lead in this one, 14 points to 0. It's another week where the Waratahs have gone out to a decent lead against the New Zealand team. Both sides were punished for kind of carelessness in their own 22. The Chiefs were kicking a lot of ball back to the Waratahs and kind of making them just run it out. Commentators saying that they were trying to tire out that big Waratahs pack. Don't know. But it was definitely pretty kind of accurate stuff from the Chiefs kickers. I should say Retallick, Harris, McKenzie 2 and Pulu 2 for the Chiefs. The try scorers for the Waratahs, Clark, Rona and Beale. Halftime possession and territory was pretty much almost 60% to the Chiefs, despite all their kicking. So it was a case of the Waratahs really taking their chances when they had them. Offloads at halftime was 16-4 to the Chiefs, so it kind of shows you the rugby they were trying to play. Waratahs once again can kind of feel a bit aggrieved about poor officiating. There was a forward pass called for a try, which, I mean, I only saw it once live and then once on the replay. It looked okay. I didn't see it from kind of the whole multiple angles thing. But they had a try call back for a forward pass. And I hate talking about the ref, but I know they don't do the whole neutral refs thing anymore. Like back in the day, Waratahs Chiefs would have been refed by a South African, so would Reds Highlanders, which was in fact refereed by a South African. Bulls Brumbies would have been refereed by a New Zealander, and Stormers Lions would have been refereed by a South African, because it's two South African teams. But they had a New Zealander in charge of this one, which I guess is fine. Like if you're saving costs, put a Kiwi in charge. But Glenn Jackson used to play for the Chiefs. That seems stupid that he gets to referee the Chiefs. Like, they don't do that in soccer. You don't get to referee your team, or the team kind of the place where you're from. I mean, I try to be fairly kind of down the middle on this channel, but even me, like, I'm pretty one-eyed sometimes. So the fact that they can let Glenn Jackson referee the Chiefs just seems stupid. Like, I thought that pass would have at least been a TMO. Like, at least go, I've got a forward pass on my on-field decision. Can you tell me otherwise? But he was just like, no, it's a forward pass. So yeah, Beale I thought was everywhere though. He had a good game. Once I stopped talking about the ref, start talking about the rugby. No, I'm not going to go on about it. So yeah, D-Mac didn't have his best night with the boot. He hit the posts like 2 or 3 times. One probably glancing blow, 2 kind of square hits on the posts. For the stats of the game itself, possession and territory were kind of 55-59 in favour of the Chiefs. So it's a deserved win, I guess. Despite that call going against the Tars, I feel like it probably didn't cost them the game. Like, their tackling rate was 75% compared to the Chiefs' 85%. Like, that's the kind of area that probably cost you the game more than anything the ref's doing. It was just another unfortunate moment, which kind of, like I said, I'd probably like to see it replayed more times, but it didn't seem forward at a glance anyway. Chiefs, yeah, key moments. Did enough really smart play at the end by Damian McKenzie to run for the line and get that bonus point try instead of just looking to kick it out. In terms of New Zealand Conference, that could be pretty important. Tars, yeah, they've not had great luck with the officials this year, but it's again, if you've got a 14-point lead, you need to keep scoring points. Like they scored in like the 12th minute, and then they didn't score again until I think the second half. You need to keep scoring points. You can't just sit back. So, yeah, unfortunate for them. The fact that they didn't get a bonus point from the game is probably they can probably feel robbed about that, I guess. They probably deserved a bonus point from the way they played. Like I said, that bonus point for the Chiefs is pretty fantastic for their season. Chiefs have got the Crusaders at home next week. The Reds go away to the Waratahs, so kind of two derby matches, however you want to go with that. There. Next one, another New Zealand team going over the Aussies, and another one that was close. Highlanders go over the Reds 15 points to 18, or 18 points to 15. Tries to playing Amosa and Stewart for the Reds, Lee and Squire for the Highlanders. So yeah, not a real high try scoring on this one. It was probably destined not to be the prettiest game, because you got a team in the Highlanders who doesn't really like to play with the ball that much, and a team in the Reds that when they get the ball, they tend to just, well, their preference is to bust it up and grind it. So there was kind of a recipe for some grinding. The Reds scrum was on top early, getting them some penalties, which is at the start of the season the way they really got some pay, off the back of that scrum. In second half, it didn't quite work as well. Possession and territory for the first half was 60 plus for the Reds, so they were kind of bossing the game, I guess, in that regard. I think the halftime score, though, they were, it was 10 points to 8 in favour of the Reds. So, yeah, it was, I guess in terms of the ref, oh God, I shouldn't be talking about the refs. It was, I guess, just preferable, because there was another moment where there was a flat pass, and he didn't TMO it, but you could tell in the background they were going to just give that a quick check. That's how it should be done if he's in doubt, rather than just blowing it up and calling it over. Anyway, the Reds D was pretty immense, under some pressure in the second half. For some reason, I don't know if it was a mindset shift in the Reds, or if the Highlanders just decided to play with a bit more ball, but it was almost like watching soccer, because the Reds would get the ball. Apart from a few moments of brilliance, they did have a few kind of slick offloading moments, but it wasn't the majority. The Reds would just get the ball in their own 22, boot it back down the field, and wait for the Highlanders to run it back. It's like watching soccer, where your team's just parking the bus and just trying to hoof it clear, and just prepare for the next attack. I didn't really get it. It was very bizarre stuff to watch. But yeah, eventually the Highlanders, they couldn't break the line, but it was locked up at 15-all, and the Highlanders got a penalty. It was enough. So, I mean, the second half, the Reds only had 40% of the ball compared to 60% in the first. So I don't know what happened. It was just a shift, and yeah, not more kind of inexperienced stuff from the Reds. And as the commentators pointed out, Aaron Smith coming on definitely helped kind of control that game for the Highlanders. So good win for them, for the Highlanders. Away win is always welcome. I guess good for Super Rugby is that, I mean, that scoreline of the first one looks a bit blown out, but neither of these games were lopsided, and both these Aussie teams had a chance to win. So that's also good for the comp, good for Aussie Rugby, despite some recent reports saying that the Aussies should go out alone. I still reckon they can be competitive. Reds have got the Waratahs, like I said, next week. Hurricanes come up for the Highlanders. It's at home for the Highlanders. So, yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Next game, Bulls Brumbies has to be the upset of the round. And I'll get into why. So, 28 points to 38. Tries to Pollard, Smith and Kotza for the Bulls. Godwin, McCaffrey, Fainga, Banks and Muirhead for the Brumbies. Banks is scoring some pretty sweet tries in South Africa. So, I don't know if he's on Cheika's list, but perhaps he should be. It was a real hiss and a raw start, with the Bulls scoring a try in 4 minutes, and then the Brumbies scoring a try back pretty much immediately. So, in terms of lead changes, I think the lead changed in this game about 5 times. So it had that entertainment factor about it. It was a bit ugly in patches, and there were quite a few penalties. So it wasn't all kind of plain sailing. But the Bulls did look pretty dominant in that first half, and the Brumbies D was doing well to hold. And it kind of cost the Bulls in the end because they weren't able to convert some of these early chances. And it looked like if they keep doing this, eventually the Brumbies will crack, perhaps in the second half, especially at altitude. But it didn't work out that way. So Seo got a line break. I made a note of that. That was it's always entertaining to see one of the big guys kind of get into some open space. And the next thing was Brumbies, another red card. Another red card. And about the same time as last week. It was like 62 minutes. Fainga got a red card. And you thought, at that time it was, I think, 25-24 to the Bulls. The Bulls were in the lead. And the Brumbies got a red card. So the Brumbies go a man down. And at that point you're thinking, all right, that's it. Floodgates are going to open. Bulls are going to run away with this. Kind of bish, bosh, bash. It's going to be job done. But no. Then Banks got his try. And then Muirhead got a try. So I don't know how that works. The Bulls kind of went to sleep, I guess. I mean, in terms of stats, the Brumbies had 70% of the ball and the territory in the second half. And that's with 20 minutes playing with one fewer man. Like, John Mitchell doesn't have any hair to tear out, but that's pretty frustrating. And if you're a Bulls fan, it's probably very frustrating. So yeah, the Bulls really made to regret not taking those early chances. The Brumbies just somehow galvanized by that red card, just going on to dominate. That they looked like the team with the extra man. It was bizarre stuff. It's great for the Brumbies because their season's been struggling. They haven't had a win for a very long time, and to get one in South Africa with a red card again, man, it works. They'll take that. For the Bulls, this is really damaging for their playoff chances. It was there on a plate for them, and unable to take it is pretty disappointing. So, 38 points to 28. Bulls might live to regret that. But for Brumbies, I guess, just eases a bit of that pressure. Hopefully they'll get a better crowd next week against the Sunwolves on the back of this. The Bulls have got a bye, as do all the South African Conference teams. Last game, Stormers 23, go down to the Lions 26, tries to do Vanaka and Rule. For the Lions, it's Groom, Fourie, 2 for him, and 1 to Tambwe. I didn't see all of this game. It was on kind of midnight-ish. So I saw about 20-30 minutes of the first half, and then ended up going to sleep. So, not that the game put me to sleep, I made a conscious decision to go to sleep. So yeah, it was a quick start again from the Stormers, especially 7-0 pretty quickly on, and then 10-0 with a penalty. Looking good at home. Crowd looked pretty decent, to be fair, for a team which has not been inspiring for crowd to come. Lions went on attack, looked to be putting on some pressure, but just not able to crack them. Stormers' defence was holding, and the Lions lacking a bit of cutting edge. There was a first yellow card period when Engelbrecht got yellow carded, and that ended up being 0-0. The Lions had heaps of pressure on, but unable to break them. And that's concerning if you're a Lions fan. Encouraging if you're a Stormers fan, for sure. But, I mean, and disappointing you had a yellow card in the first place. The Stormers also pretty good on the ground. I made a note of that because they were getting a fair few turnovers at key moments, which was just kind of helping relieve that pressure. Then there was a red card. It's another game with a red card. This time it was Rule kind of jumping up late with an elbow. Again, I didn't see that one because I wasn't watching the second half live, but I saw it very briefly on the kind of 15-minute replay version of the game. So yeah, put them under real pressure, and then there was another yellow card during that period. So there was a while where the Lions were 15-13 up, but they only managed to get, like, that 13-15 period was 7-3 to the Lions. Is it just me, or should the Lions be doing better than a 4-point differential for 2-man advantage? I don't know, it doesn't seem to be clicking. Yeah, the Stormers were able to kind of kick some penalties and get back in front, even with a man down, but it wasn't enough at the end. There was a try to Tumbuer, which kind of put them in front. Stormers ran the clock down to 82 minutes, trying to get over the line to steal it at the end, but not able to do so. Really hard, especially with one fewer guy. So yeah, they'll lose another one at home, which is their second loss at home this season. Their season's pretty much been done for a while, and that's another nail in the coffin. The Lions lucky with the Jaguares picking up so many wins that they're under a lot of pressure. They needed this win, but man, with all that extra time with the extra man, 2 yellow cards and 1 red card for I think about 30 minutes they had an extra man, and then 2 yellow cards. Lions should have done better. Pretty much all these tries from the Lions are from set play around the maul. So if they come up against the team who's able to stop them in that maul, then they may be in trouble, because if you haven't got a plan B, if you're a bit of a one-trick pony, then teams will get your number. Not easy. I mean, the Lions maul's pretty good. The Stormers were holding it early, but it was doing enough to create those opportunities. But yeah, it's no guarantee that they won't be able to. Some team might be able to stop them. So yeah, both these teams have got the bye next week. Yeah, we'll see how they go when they come back. What did you guys reckon about these games? Did you watch them all live? Probably not, to be fair. That's a fair bit of rugby to go through. Yeah, Brumbies, especially impressive. 38-28 Bulls. Is that their season? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.